Hi, and welcome to the Liberty Bunker. I'm Raymond Dahlman, your humble host, president of DSA Financial Group, and here to give you the weekly economic update for February 22nd, 2021. Hope everyone's doing well and have thawed out for those of y'all down in Texas. Hopefully most of y'all have got power and water restored. So I know it's been kind of a shitty week for most of y'all, and we had a little bit of snow, but not much out of the ordinary for Colorado. So again, hope everyone's hopefully getting back to normal. And if anyone out there needs anything, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'll do whatever I can within my power. So, all right, well, let's dive into the weekly update. For those of y'all who watched my video for the end of last week, it's kind of a flat week in the markets. Rising bond yields have, dampened some investor enthusiasm. The Dow Jones was just barely up. Then the other indexes were slightly down. So, like I said, 10-year Treasury rates have been on the rise. I think a lot of that is due to inflation or worries about inflation. That is actually the third subject here in my newsletter. I know I've been talking about this for quite a while now. When did they start talking about stimulus last year? It was probably April, May, when the first bill was in the works. That was, my first worry was, what is this going to lead to as far as, deflating the dollar. So, it's good to see that my newsletter firm is catching up with what I've been talking about for, going on probably 9 months now. So let's take a look and see what's on the week ahead. The index of leading economic indicators came out today. Let's take a peek and see how that did. Came out at a 0.5%. Forecast was 0.5%. So looks like it came in on target. I would assume that that's a good thing. You can get lost in looking at all these indicators, but looking back historically, it's been coming in at forecast or better than for a little while now. So it looks like the last time it came in worse than forecast was, last June. So again, things are improving in the economy. Certainly not the end of the world, but we'll keep an eye on that. See later this week, tomorrow, consumer confidence, home sales on Wednesday, and then Thursday is your typical jobless claims and such. And then Friday, consumer sentiment. Also, I mentioned last week that it's earnings season. A lot of companies are going to be reporting their earnings. See here some big ones: Home Depot, Lowe's, TJ Maxx, Best Buy, Salesforce. So, we'll see how those numbers come out. Maybe if they're of any interest, if there's any exciting news, I'll talk about it at the end of the week. All right, and I had some articles attached in my weekly newsletter. Some, there's a white paper on economic predictions. Basically a kind of a composite of what a lot of different economists see in the future ahead of us. A lot of economists do believe that there's going to be some economic expansion, especially if there's going to be, with the infrastructure and stimulus packages. I would imagine that could lead to some economic expansion. I'm a little tempered in my view on that. But economists are less optimistic about employment moving forward. I know I harp on this a lot. There's a lot of people out of work right now, so that is definitely a big concern. Inflation, again, talked about that just a minute ago. They're projecting a 2.8 increase in consumer prices this year. So I personally think it's going to be a higher number. Just based upon the dollar creation over the last 12 months. And in their opinion, they believe that, that there's a fairly low likelihood of a economic downturn. I'm not as optimistic as these folks. With the amount of people that are out of work right now, again, the potential for inflation out there, and there's just a lot of uncertainty right now. I think looking at the big picture, I think it's fair to say government doesn't do anything very well, and more and more people are probably getting pretty pissed at how their local and state governments, on top of an ineffective federal government, have been for definitely the last year, and people like me who get fed up with wasteful spending and just the bickering back and forth, and it's just unnecessary in my opinion. So, all right, let's move on to the next white paper. Oil prices on the move. Due to production cuts last year, people weren't using as much energy, so those oil production was slowed. But prices have been on the rise of late. I know I've talked about that over the last few weeks. Again, something to keep an eye on. If the price of oil continues to climb, that could be a problem as people do get back to work and life is, to whatever the new normal is going to be. Certainly want to make sure that, or we want to make sure that we keep an eye on, what the price of oil is, and it certainly can give us a good indicator of, is life getting more expensive, less expensive, and so on. And then I have a third white paper, retirement seen through your eyes. I'm not really going to get into this. It's something more individual for you to read through. But again, it's just something to think about, to get your mind turning as far as, how do you envision your future? What do you want to accomplish? There's a lot more to being retired than just sitting on your ass and watching Jeopardy every day. Not that that's a bad thing. My wife and I watch Jeopardy every night. We do miss seeing Alex, but anyways, just something for folks to get their mind thinking if they're not already retired, or maybe if you are retired, maybe this is reading through this will spark something and get you to do something, take on a new hobby or task that maybe you've been putting off. So. All right, well, that's about it as far as the economy and a few of the white papers that I had for this weekly update. I do have some other information that I do want to share, but if you want to drop off, you're welcome to. These are two podcasts that I had recently listened to and wanted to share them with you. I get a lot of information from these two guys, and just wanted to share some of these some of their information, and these kind of tie into what's going on today. This first one is from Professor CJ. His podcast is called the Dangerous History Podcast, and this episode 218 had to do with the history of progressive educators in the United States. And it's an interesting listen. It's not too long. It's probably about an hour. He's someone I really enjoy. He's got a long series on the Civil War, and it really goes into real deep dives into his subject. So I'm going to play this real quick, and then I'll play another video, and then we'll get out of here.
The most erroneous assumption is to the effect that the aim of public education is to fill the young in the species with knowledge and awaken their intelligence. Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. That is its aim in the United States, whatever the pretensions of the politicians. And that is its aim everywhere else. H.L. Mencken.
All right. I'll attach a link to this particular podcast in the show notes. So if you want to listen to it, it's a good listen. It's kind of interesting to see the people who framed and developed our public education system, what their true motives were. I'm always someone who likes to know the history behind the history, And like I said, I really enjoy Professor CJ's podcast. So the next one is a gentleman, his name is Pete Quinones, and his podcast is Free Man Behind the Wall, or Beyond the Wall. And on this particular podcast, they're breaking down Lysander Spooner's No Treason. And it's him, and his guest is Legalman, which is a gentleman's a lawyer who has a podcast also. So in this podcast, they're breaking down different quotes from Lysander Spooner. If you have never read Spooner's works, I guess he was an author around the Civil War. Definitely someone who was not a fan of tyranny. I would say he's definitely a friend of liberty. And so let's take a quick listen to this quote, and then I'll have a few more words after that.
All right. The Constitution has no inherent authority or obligation. It has no authority or obligation at all unless as a contract between man and man. And it does not so much as even purport to be a contract between persons now existing. It purports at most to be only a contract between persons living 80 years ago. We got to remember when he was writing this, which is fascinating unto itself. And it can be supposed to have been a contract then only between people who had already come to years of discretion, so as to be competent to make reasonable and obligatory contracts. As a lawyer, why don't you explain that last part right there?
All right. So, like I said, I'll go ahead and attach a link to this audio also. So if you want to, again, probably 45 minutes to an hour was this podcast. So if you've never listened to podcasts before, I recommend listening to them on a podcatcher or on your phone. And I also would recommend listening probably at 1.5 times speed. It speeds it up. I'm able to consume probably 15 plus hours of material in a relatively much shorter period of time each day, just because I listen at 1.5 to 2 times speed of quite a few different people. Ben Shapiro is quite interesting to listen to at faster than normal. Tim Pool's another one that he talks fast, and listening to him at 2 times speed is like listening to the Chipmunks. So anyways, I hope you get something out of it. I'm always trying to share information, get people to think, about the bigger picture, whether or not it's about public education or about the Constitution and government. I'm here to I view what I do a lot as kind of an information broker. It's my job to soak in a lot of information and have it there to provide to clients and to friends. So, like I said, hopefully you get something from this. And if you have any questions or concerns about what's going on in the markets or the economy, feel free to reach out. Like, subscribe, and share this video with friends and family. I would greatly appreciate it. And talk to you later in the week. Bye.